the Cincinnati Reds aren't going to win a World Series this year. You can take out 20 teams for Major League Baseball and say they have no chance of winning this thing. But once you go into the NFL season, and once you go into the playoffs in the NFL, it's a completely different story, man. I mean, you don't have one team that you can say they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. You don't have a Colts team this year like you did a few years ago. You don't have a New England Patriot team like you did a few years ago. You don't have that. You got legitly 5 or 6 teams in the NFL that are going to go into the playoffs this year. Legit. I mean, that have a serious chance of winning this thing. The Minnesota Vikings, arguably, they can represent the NFC. That's with an awful quarterback. A quarterback that can do just enough. I don't know if it's Gus Frerotte or Tavares Jackson. I'm not sure yet. I'm pretty sure Gus Frerotte, when healthy, will come in and play quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. But this is with 2 terrible quarterbacks, but a defense that makes enough plays to win games. That's what the Minnesota Vikings are. And I'm not sure an NFC team really wants to play a team like the Minnesota Vikings. You saw what they did against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona, a team that is great at home. Great at home. Minnesota went in there, and Arizona had no chance of beating them. 0 chance. You know, and there's 5 teams that you can say that about right now. I mean, the standings are so much fun to just look at right now because it's so diverse. The New York Giants were clear-cut favorites to win this thing 3 weeks ago, and I've changed my mind. And you can't fault me for that. It's the NFL. You think I'm going to sit here and look like an idiot and continue to tell you that the New York Giants are going to win the Super Bowl this year? I think they got a good chance of winning it, but the percentage that the New York Giants are going to win the Super Bowl went down, increased. I mean, completely. Huge percentage. Plaxico Burress has put. There's a big hole now for that New York Giant offense. You know, Steve Smith isn't going to do it for you if you're the New York Giants and Eli Manning. And, you know, without Jacobs for the last couple of weeks, that's obviously a big hole as well. Him coming back and playing Carolina this week is going to make a huge difference. But having Plaxico Burress, you know, a 6'5", 6'6" wide receiver, big, lengthy, big arms, tall guy. I mean, Eli Manning at times just throws the ball up there for Plaxico, and he goes up and gets it. That's the type of player Plaxico Burress is. And you love to have a receiver on your side that you can do that with. When you're in trouble, I got no doubt I'm going to throw it to that guy. He's 6'5", 6'6", getting covered by a corner who is, 6'1", max? So he's got 4 inches on the guy. And, you know, more than likely he's going to leap up and catch a ball. Or, you know, pass interference because he probably beat his man anyways. That's huge offensively. That is huge. You saw what the Giants were last week and the week before that. They look like dog crap. And Plaxico Burress has Giants. And Jeremy Shockey went out. It wasn't that big of a deal. The tight end boss came in and did a great job for the Giants, number 1. And number 2, Jeremy Shockey was already a guy that nobody really wanted around. I'm not telling you that Plaxico Burress is a guy that people really want around, but at least he's going to perform and put up 80 to 120 yards a game. 6-7 catches, a touchdown. That's big, okay? And that gives a huge confidence for a guy like Eli Manning as a quarterback. It's huge. Now, last year when Jeremy Shockey went out and they went 8-0 when he was done and then 3-0 in the playoffs and went on to win the Super Bowl against New England Patriots, the first thing that came to my mind is Jeremy Shockey will now be a New York Giant. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that they will trade, they will send, they're going to send him somewhere. And of course he lands, and he's with the Saints. They didn't skip a beat in New York, and the tight end position hasn't skipped a beat either. But Plaxico Burress, I'm not sure you can do this with. I'm not sure you can send Plaxico Burress somewhere and say, you know, he made a mistake. You know, he's not that good. Sure, you know, he could land in jail. I'm not saying that. But if he doesn't land in jail somehow, some way, and he, you know, the attorney gets his way like they usually do, in the state of New York, it's a little bit different, I understand. But somehow, some way, he gets to play next season. I'm not sure Plaxico Burress goes anywhere. He's going to be a New York Giant. I didn't say that a couple weeks ago. I figured they wouldn't skip a beat. This is a completely different team. Completely different team. So I'm not sure what exactly the Giants have planned for Plaxico Burress, but I'm actually, I should say, I am pretty sure I know exactly what the New York Giants are going to do with Plaxico Burress. And he's going to be a New York Giant come next season. I don't care if he shoots himself in the hip again. It's a guy that they need. It's a guy they need on the offensive end, and it's a guy who is a safety net for Eli Manning. He's big. He is big to that team. Talking about big-headed, and receivers that I just don't like, or a receiver, I should say, Terrell Owens. If you heard the show last week, I went off on Terrell Owens. The show was on Tuesday. Then the news came out on Wednesday, and how him and Jason Witten, and I should say Jason Witten and Tony Romo are in a clique together, and they get together and write up their own play, draw their own plays. They don't throw the ball to Terrell Owens. You know, I'm sure it happens. I'm pretty sure that is absolutely correct. That is a absolutely correct statement by Terrell Owens. And I don't know if there's anything wrong with that. Terrell Owens is just so insecure with himself, where he has to come out and say that. You know, when you're leading your team in receiving yards, and you coming out and saying, they're not throwing me the ball, and they have a click with Witten and Romo, and they go together and they drop their own plays, listen, man. Listen. First off, if that has anything to do, it's a correct statement, what he's coming out with. But you want that coming out in the media? I mean, you want people coming out and talking about this now? You know, in the game of football, in the game of any sport around this country, the last thing you want is for the media to get on you for anything. Already the Dallas Cowboys have issues. Terrell Owens has issues. And now he has to come out and say something stupid like that. But doesn't winning solve everything? You know, Terrell Owens all of a sudden, he's happy again. He's giddy again. You know, he's a happy man because they won the football game. But forget about it if they lost that game last week. The game against Giants last week was large. They lose that game, they're not going to the playoffs. That is a big win for the Dallas Cowboys. And